Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Andrea Hundley, and I'm here with my colleague Diana Lazal. We work at the Marxe School Office of Global Initiatives at the Marxe School, and we're going to do a brief overview, info session of what we offer at the Marxe School. We also have three participants from this past summer from 2022 who will also speak. So just to give you a rundown of what we're going to do, I'm going to do a quick presentation that shouldn't take too long, no more than 10 minutes for the sake of time. And then we're going to hear from Malini Singh McDonald, Wolf Pempiel, and Carlos Monroy about their experiences in their respective countries where they studied abroad this past summer. 15-20 minutes, and then we will open up for the Q&A session at the end, just so we're no longer than an hour, because I know everybody's people have to go to class or prepare dinner, etc. So additionally, if you have questions during the presentation or during the three students speaking, you can place your questions in the chat and we will address them there. Or if you feel confident, you can raise your hand during the Q&A portion and ask questions out loud. So let's get started. So I'm going to share my screen and start my PowerPoint. Okay. All right. Okay. So study abroad with Marxe. What we offer at the Marxe School. So just be aware, the Office of Global Initiatives is strictly for Marxe students. There is an office of the Baruch Study Abroad office. They service the whole Baruch College, and we operate separately, but we do collaborate with them. We offer short-term and long semester exchange programs. Short-term basically are either in the winter session or in the summer sessions. And then we offer credit-bearing and certificate, or what we call non-credit programs. Basically, credit-bearing are going to be courses that you take that will show up on your transcript as transfer credit. And non-credit programs are certificate programs. Basically, you receive a certificate of completion, and what I also like to call them resume boosters to, boost your resume that you participated in a program abroad. And then lastly, and the most popular thing people like to hear is we have a merit-based award or scholarship to offset study abroad expenses, and we'll get into that after. So for the sake of time, long-term, generally what we offer mostly is short-term, but we do have long-term or semester exchange programs that the Baruch Study Abroad office generally handles, but we collaborate with them again. So to go down quickly, you study for 1 semester as a visiting student at one of our partner universities. We study alongside regular degree candidates at the host institution. Courses are taught in English. And then you have access to all fields of study at the institution like any other degree candidate. And very importantly, you pay your normal semester CUNY tuition and fees to the Baruch Bursar. So let's say you were to go abroad in Europe somewhere for the semester, the spring or the fall, you're going to pay tuition to the Bursar and other fees as if you were on Baruch campus. So that's that. Oops, let's continue. That. So more popularly, what we see with Marxe students go on for our Marxe programs are short-term programs, basically in the winter or summer. These vary anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. Generally in the summer, it's more like 4 to 6 weeks, and in the winter, you see it from 2 to 3 weeks. It's an intensive international experience. And what I mean by that is you take a course, for example, a general course you take over a lot of the semester, and you diminish it into the 2 to 6 weeks. And the students can talk more about that. And countries vary from year to year. Not all courses may be taken for credit. So generally for the summer, the majority of the time we do offer courses for credit. And generally in the winter, we do not, because the courses usually are shorter in length. and enrollment. You're going to directly enroll at the host university. You're not going to enroll at Baruch. And tuition, so each program has, or course has a tuition payment. You're going to directly pay to the host institution. So let's continue. Okay, so what we had, so because of COVID, for summer 2022, we had 9 students go abroad. We have 3 of them here to share their experiences, and a very exciting time for us. These were sample summer opportunities. These are for reference only. We had offered courses in Denmark, France, Germany, and the Netherlands. So this is what we had for the summer. And then winter 2023 opportunities. This is all tentative. So I'll show you what we are going to potentially offer. And again, these are most likely not going to be offered for credit. We have Berlin, Germany, Athens, Greece, and Amsterdam, Netherlands. And I do want to show you how we get to the opportunities page. And I can paste it here into the chat so you can follow along. Okay, it's 5:12. So if you all go to our main Marxe page, you go to Global Initiatives, Marxe Students, and either summer programs or winter programs. So winter programs, I am in the process of updating this. So within the next few days, this should be completed, and you should be getting an email to your inboxes about the new courses that we will be offering this winter. Okay, just so you have an idea of where to navigate to. I'm going to go back. Okay. All right, let's continue. Okay, housing, accommodations. So programs offer different housing options. The most common types you will see are student apartments or student dorms. Some places offer hotel and hostels. And what's becoming increasingly more popular, and what we've seen in the past, is private accommodations, such as Airbnb. Many students are preferring, privacy, so they'll go through Airbnb to have Wi-Fi or be able to cook for themselves while they're abroad. Okay, do I qualify? I'm just going to bring everything up. Okay, so if you're applying directly for credit-bearing programs, you're going to apply directly to the study abroad office. Generally, you need 2 applications, and there's a lot of info about this, a lot of the application process. So if you would like more in-depth detail, I encourage you to email us to make an appointment for a one-on-one meeting, either in person or virtual through Zoom. So if you're doing credit-bearing programs, you're going to apply directly to the study abroad program, number 1, and number 2, you're going to apply to the host university. So to qualify, you need to be in good academic standing, a minimum cumulative GPA of 3.0, and to earn credit for the work you do abroad, you must receive the equivalent of at least a B. So if you were to study abroad for credit, let's say in this winter, the deadline is October 1st. If you were to do a course for summer 2023, following fall is semester exchange, March 15th. These are bolded because these are hard deadlines. And I'm also going to put them up on our website. These are the deadlines to apply for this when you submit your study abroad application to the study abroad office. And then if you're applying for short-term certificate programs, again, the resume boosters or the non-credit, sponsored through the Marxe School Office of Global Initiatives, requirements or deadlines are dependent on each program. And in each program description, I will put the application deadline and other information necessary. And general application process, this is a flyer for short-term programs, basically a step-by-step guide or checklist we created. I'm not going to go over it because it's very much involved. And for the sake of time, I will, though, send it into a follow-up email And I will also put it here in the chat. I'm going to, everyone. Give me 2 seconds. Okay. Okay, so you should have received the step-by-step guide. You can download as a PDF. And then I'll send it in a follow-up email afterward, after the information session. So you have it as a checklist for yourself. All right, let's continue. All right, the best part, finances. So the Marxe Study Away Award. This is a merit-based scholarship. So students accepted to Marxe school-sponsored programs can apply for a Marxe Study Away Award, which is a merit-based scholarship. So qualifications. This is just very general. Qualifications to be eligible to apply. You need at least 9 PDF credits completed at the time of application. So that's basically 3 courses under your belt at the time that you apply. A minimum cumulative GPA of 3.4. Again, 3.4, I bolded that. That's why this is a merit-based, not needs-based. And then submit an application to a Marxe approved study abroad program that we have vetted and approved to offer to you. So general application deadlines. Okay, November 1st for the winter session and spring. A guideline is November 1, and then for the summer and fall, April 1st is a guideline. Here in red, for winter 2023, the deadline is Sunday, December 4th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then there are additional requirements to meet if you are selected for the award. So if you are very interested, email us at our email to get application instructions and the application link. And again, I can't stress this enough, the deadline. And we can go into that more in more detail. Okay, what are the next steps? I'm gonna put everything up here. Plan your study abroad. When do you want to study abroad? So let's say you're a new student this fall. Generally, most students would study abroad in, let's say, the following summer, because then they would be more eligible to apply for the Marxe Study Away Award, given the requirements. Then you would say, where would you like to study? Think about if you have time to go on a short term, either in the winter or spring, or if you have time to do a semester exchange. Again, I will say more popular because of our students, they generally go on short-term programs, either in winter. Oops, this should be summer, I'm sorry. Summer, because they are shorter. Because many of our students are part-time, working, have families, and have commitments. So again, short-term is the most popular. The next thing is meet with us one-on-one to discuss the options in depth and your specific questions. And then if you are interested in getting a course for credit, you will meet with your academic advisor to see how the course will fit into your overall academic plan, and then apply by the deadline indicated in the program descriptions and the deadline set by the Baruch Study Abroad office for credit bearing programs. And don't forget, next Thursday, September 15th at 12:30 p.m. I'm also going to circulate this, or you can take your phone right now with the QR code to register for the Baruch College's virtual study abroad fair. Again, the Baruch Study Abroad office is for the entire college, but we're just promoting this to help them out. So any questions, email us here, and then my portion is done. So we can take it away with Wolf. I'll let you start because I know you have to go.
Sure. Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Wolf. I studied abroad this last summer. I went to Copenhagen, Denmark, at the Copenhagen Business School, where I studied international strategic management. It's always hard for me to get the whole sentence right. But it technically was a class about how to help companies go overseas or abroad, how to expand overseas. And throughout the class, it was I believe a 10 sessions within 6 weeks. And within that time, we had 2 professors, and the first professor we had was mainly theories and strategies for going abroad and helping a company expand. And the second professor we had was a former CEO of a company, of a Danish company. And he was more of a practical, like what actually happens in the boardroom or decision table when it comes to like deciding to go abroad, or when a company does decide to go abroad, what are the difficulties that they face when they enter a different country? Like when Starbucks decided to open in Australia, but it didn't work because Australia focused more on like a small coffee shop instead of like a big American brand or large size coffees. So those kind of nuances, that's what we touched on. We talked about the NFL, we talked about Starbucks, we talked about Oktoberfest, whether it's possible for Oktoberfest to become an international organization, not just an event, but like an organization where it's like stamped by the Munich Foundation. So besides that, I spent a lot of times with a lot of different students from around the world, got to exchange ideas, challenge each other in ways that I haven't, not that I haven't been able to do in the US, but it's different meeting people from different countries who haven't been in the US for a long time, or have probably never been to the US. They've only seen it on TV or heard stories about it, how crazy it looks from the outside looking in. So they had a lot of questions, and I try my best to answer, but at the same time, I'm only one person, so I can't answer everything. And I also had a lot of questions for them because, you know, they're from places I've never been to, cultures I've never been exposed to. And so it was a very, it was a summer full of conversations and exchanges, dinners, and also doing things that scared us a lot. So during that summer, I learned how to swim in Denmark. I took swimming classes at the Copenhagen. They have like, it's like a YMCA, but it's just one huge building, and it has soccer fields, basketball, everything you can think of in one building, and also like a large swimming pool. And I did that. I did some rope climbing. I have some pictures, so let me, if you don't mind, I'm going to share some with you all. I had to improvise a couple of times where a group of us rented a boat, but none of us knew how to steer the boat. So let me know if you can see my screen. So this picture looks cool. Trust me, it looks cool, but I was terrified because that was my first time ever steering a boat. And second, I caused a major traffic jam in the canal because the boat was sideways and I didn't know how to turn it back facing forward. So I look cool in this picture here, but I'm telling you, I was sweating. But in the end, I learned how to do it. I was able to dock back into the station, and it was probably like a 45-minute boat ride with 6 of us. And next picture. This is a group of us having a birthday dinner. Actually, the same day, right after the boat, we went to have a dinner, pizza with everybody here is from different places. There are 2 Americans, and then we have Germans, Mexicans, Italians, great people, great conversations. And here again, this is a typical Danish environment where they have you pay $7 US dollars, which is like 49 kronens, and you eat. It's like pretty much like an all-you-can-eat place, but you all eat the same food. So we all went there, had the same food, same drinks, same everything. Everyone you see here are eating the same thing. And it was a weird concept to me because I was like, well, if I'm paying, I want to eat what I want to eat. But they were like, no, the whole thing is we all experience the same food at the same time, same taste. And it's, you know, you're all having the same experience at the same time. So that was new to me, but I enjoyed it. And I also met some other friends around Denmark, attending African events. These are 3 new friends that I made. We're still in touch, and we'll be traveling soon together. They were not part of the program. These are just people that I met on my own. And I also did some rope climbing. I have a fear of heights, but somehow my friend who I met during the program, she's a student from Canada, convinced me to do this. She bought the tickets and said, we're gonna do something. It's about rope climbing. I'm thinking I'm gonna do rock climbing, something simple. I get there, it's 150 feet up in a ship hangar. And I'm like, where's the track? They're like, look up. And I look up, you can barely see the tracks. And we took an elevator to the ceiling, and then we had to do this for 3 hours. And needless to say, I have a less fear of height as we speak right now. But we ended up doing this. This is a church, and at the top of it, there's like a tower you can climb. And my fear of heights really, I guess, it's less now. And I think Denmark really challenged me to physically and emotionally in a lot of ways. And that's it. I think that's all I have. And if you have any questions about traveling abroad, Denmark, that was my first time ever going to Europe. My first time traveling. I mean, I've been to Asia, Latin America, but Europe was the first time for me. So if you have any questions as far as like the logistics of planning this trip, studying, or even how to make friends social wise, feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to drop my LinkedIn in the chat, so feel free to add me if you can. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Wolf. Thank you again. Malini or? Okay, go ahead.
Hi, how are you? I'm so happy to be with all of you and talk about my study abroad / vacation / bucket list trip. My name is Malini St. McDonald, and I just graduated from the MPA program. I was actually in the executive MPA program, 2-year intensive, and one of the opportunities included in this program was the opportunity to study abroad. And so I jumped at that opportunity for a couple of reasons. One, there was a class that I've been wanting to take for some time, and it was being offered at the University of Amsterdam. It's called Urban Studies, Planning and Living in Cities. And it was exactly 3 weeks, which was about the amount of time I had accumulated and accrued at work and got permission to take that time off. And it was right as we were ending our capstone, and it was a whole lot, and it was exactly what I needed after pandemic, after this program, and I went for it. So I'm going to share my screen and talk through a little bit about the experience. And really, these pictures do not at all capture the joy that I was feeling during that time. So what was so great about the Urban Studies program is it was 3 weeks, and it was basically lectures in the morning and excursions in the afternoon. And that, I have to tell you, is what really made the experience in Amsterdam really special. So from the first day, my apartment was right across from this canal. So it was already just joy rising whenever I walked out the door. And this is me in front of the actual campus, which is over a canal. So the mornings, as I said, where we talked about different topics about, different types of infrastructure and social housing, which is what they are known for, other types of progressive laws, the cycling nature of the country, and the gentrification that they're experiencing. We also, and I'll show these pictures, we also walked through areas that were segregated at one time. So specifically pre-World War II, this particular pictures of the Jewish section of Amsterdam. And so we explored the plazas, and we explored was one of the memorials that we looked at. And we also had the opportunity to spend time on our own, and I did a ton of walking. So when I wasn't walking through these historic districts, I was enjoying the art that was readily available to me. Everything was in walking distance for the most part. It was actually easier to just walk to where I needed to go, and rather than take the metro, because for those of us who are from New York, we know how to get to where we need to get to fast, and sometimes walking is faster than taking the bus. Or you could take a bike, because everybody bikes. It's like cyclists, and then all the way on the bottom are people. So there's not much power. So these pictures here just represent, on the top left corner is a statue in Bilmeer, which was actually a place that we visited outside of Amsterdam. So that was one of the benefits of this experience, was we weren't just stuck in Amsterdam, going to Oosterpark, going to the regular areas that we see on tourist sites and blogs, etc. We were actually visiting places beyond the neighborhood. So this second picture is Sunflowers, and most people recognize as one of Van Gogh's most famous paintings. And this particular picture was at the Van Gogh Museum, which is behind the Reich Museum, which is phenomenal. And on the bottom here is just another plaza, which has the Netherlands royalty live there in the castle. This sign that got a little, the graffiti, I love how they call this graffiti, because in comparison to what we know, I was like, oh, that's nice. But someone graffitied, and in Dutch it says, gentrification is murder. So, this was a topic of conversation, and this was part of our journey through a gentrified neighborhood. Whereas my lecturer that day said, and now everything is avocado toast. And I was the only one that laughed really loud, because I was the only American in my class. So, hence also New Yorker. So apparently I flexed. I have no idea what that really meant, but, and when you're in a class where everybody is from around the whole world, it really allows you to take a moment to check yourself. So I did a lot of just kind of reminding myself that, wow, I really don't know as much. I'm learning so much from all of these people. So with all of these people, we went to Floriade, and Floriade is one of two cities that is created by the Netherlands government, and their whole thing is sustainable living. And so Floriade is like almost this ideal utopia, where you want to live and where you don't see garbage on the floor. And so that was really interesting to see that, because they don't really have like garbage trucks. There's no garbage trucks. Basically, they have these garbage chutes that just make garbage disappear. And this is all a part of what we were learning as far as living in a sustainable city. On the bottom here is this truck. Well, why do I have this truck? Again, another one of these experiences was meeting with the Roma traveler people. And so I'm going to use this term only because they refer to themselves as this, but gypsies. These are people who've been living in the Netherlands for hundreds of years. We had the opportunity to meet with, they were a circus family, to talk about, their oppression and what it is like living as a traveling community where you don't necessarily have a house and you're living there 24/7, 365. And how do laws and policies apply to that? So we had a really in-depth conversation with them about that. So this here is their circus truck. They just happen to be around and not traveling. This particular family was also in retirement, but they all live in caravans off the beaten path, because they, in the same breath, want to be alone, but in the same breath also don't want to be neglected from any type of social justice that's going on. So part of the trip, I also decided to go off to The Hague. So here we are. Here's our international court and at The Hague. And I visited this museum that I cannot pronounce, the Mauritius. I just been stumbling over it for months. I'm letting go. The bottom line is that he was a merchant, extremely wealthy, and was a part of the slave trade. And that's one thing that I really respected about this experience in the Netherlands, is that they really owned their part in history. And what made them so successful. So on the right, I ran away and went to go see some theater. Thought I was into Delacorte Theater in Central Park. Not so much. It was actually in the woods. So that was an experience by itself because I, you know, took their version of a lift and then realized that, oh, I need a lift to get back out. And so I was having some issues connecting. I thought I was gonna have to like hitch a ride with one of the actors. I was a little freaky, a little scary, but my New York wits came into play and I was like, it all worked out. I was able to like get out, but the play was worth it. Was one of my favorite directors and phenomenal. It was quite an experience. Another one of the excursions I went on was out to the Kroller Mueller Museum that was out in a nature reserve. And this museum was created by this woman who was collecting art specifically around the time that Van Gogh was a nobody. And so she just started buying his art and showcasing it and continued to build this beautiful repertory for a reservoir, I should say, for art, for all of these artistic pieces. So this was one of a million pictures that I took at this museum. This particular portrait means a lot to me. And I get very emotional about it because to meet it and say hello was really an opportunity for me to just be really grateful for that. I did my MPA, that I did this trip, and to say, I'm not going to cry, but it was really emotional to say thank you for just, being this visual inspiration to get me through a lot. So this is my favorite painting and it's by Van Gogh. And then I managed to get to the beach. This is in The Hague. I got my feet into the North Sea. It was a hot day and it was all the things. I mean, I really, really took advantage of the time there. I also did a day trip to Cologne because you can in Europe. So I did, and I went to the Dom Cathedral and had a really great personal experience there. And what else? And then at the end of the trip, my husband and I flew to Dublin for our own little couple of days. So if you're wondering, oh, I'm going to go to this thing for like 6 weeks by myself, can anybody come visit me? I mean, it depends on the program. My situation was my husband was able to come meet me for a couple of days towards the end of the trip. I selected my own room because I wanted to, and I needed my own space, and I jumped at the opportunity to get that. So having him come stay for a couple of days was nice. And just the experience overall was just quite moving. And I'm still unpacking it. I got home over a month ago and I'm still unpacking the trip. I was going through the pictures for today and just remembering just how much I did. And so there's one of the things you may read or you may hear is that a lot of times there may not be enough time to do all the fun stuff when you go abroad. And I just think it's about managing time and managing finances. If you have I'm a super planner, so I knew when my chunks of time were going to be available. So I can either rest or take advantage of the evening, trying to cluster things. And even asking myself, for example, do I need to see the Anne Frank house? No, that was like, my husband and I talked that through, like, no. And we knew why we didn't want to, like it was just way too heavy to see there. But then going over to the National Holocaust Museum and paying respects in that area. And I use that as an example, just as like sometimes you feel like you have to see all the things and do all the things, but it's like, no, if you have X amount of time, you can see the best things and leave the rest for the next trip. So I'm pretty much, that's what I got right now. I'm so open to any questions any of you may have. I had a great time. I took advantage of it. I hated and loved the heat wave, but that the Europeans couldn't handle. But it was also great to come home and just really reflect on that time. And I will always carry it with me, always. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Malini, for that insightful presentation. Carlos, it's all yours.
Yeah, thanks. I'll try to be fast, maybe just 5 minutes. I'm going to share my screen and go through some slides. Just briefly, let's see, my screen is here, share. And I do have a PowerPoint, but I'll fly through it. The course I took, the European Union at a Crossroads. First of all, I went to Sciences Po in France. It was 4 weeks, 4 professors. There was a professor from Czech Republic, another one from Italy, another one from Hungary, yet she was trained in France, and the last one from Netherlands. Each one gave a week of, I guess, their specialty, from history to politics, through economics and law. So it was divided in those four I guess, areas of, specialty. And obviously the war in Ukraine was a heavy topic within the European Union. We had a couple of colleagues from Ukraine. The students, this was a young crowd. We're talking about 20, 22, 23-year-old kids. I say that because I'm almost 40. And, they're very diverse, mostly European, but included a couple of students from Asia, from Africa, Ukraine, and Latin America as well. The accommodation, I stayed at the Cité Université. So this is the University of Paris has this long complex that houses about 7,000 students in like 50 different houses from different countries. So I did stay at the Fondation des États-Unis, so the US Foundation, where 70% of the students were from the US and 30% international. Many houses had different combinations. I had just a couple of pictures of the food, and in Paris, I guess many of you probably have been to or know about it, but I'm not going to elaborate on this, whether it's Madame Croquet. A couple of tours. Sciences Po was good about providing the opportunity to network and do field trips. So I took a couple of them, including this one that was biking through Paris, and gave us some information about these old city, but magnificent city. I have medieval Paris as just a single picture, Notre Dame, of course, many of you know about it, but there are many buildings in Paris that are just medieval. They have churches from the 8th century, the 9th century, the 12th century, including the Louvre Museum is from the 12th century. Just can't imagine. Iconic Paris. I felt like I was Emily in Paris in some scenes, just going through some of the buildings, the Renaissance, and just beautiful. Did a couple of field trips, including Brussels, and obviously there are so many museums in Paris, like not just the Louvre, but there's the Chateau de Versailles, and there are a couple of them. And with these, I'm just gonna end it. I did say it was short, and this is a 1 minute video that I'm just gonna play real fast, I guess. Let me see if I can do it. If not, then it's just fine. Bear with me 1 second. I'll go through the link, and this should be fast. It's a 1 minute video. We'll probably fly through it. There you go. You probably can't hear the music on it, but yeah. So France, buildings. This is the Louvre Museum, the Seine River. There's music behind it, but you can't hear it. This is another field trip, a couple of colleagues. This is the day before their national holiday, the 14th of July. This is a field trip this is one museum, the Catacombes de Paris, and again, the Louvre, going out, friends, from colleagues from school, Sacré-Cœur, and it should be ending in like 5 seconds. Chateau de Versailles, and yeah, that summarizes the. I hope I didn't take too much time. Please let me know if you have any questions specifically about Paris, Sciences Po, which in my experience was really good. I had a great time. Despite the canicule, which is how you say heat wave in French, everything was great. And
Awesome.
happy to answer any questions.
Awesome. If you want to put your email in the chat box, that'd be great. Thank you so much, Carlos. Now we open the floor to anyone who's left here with questions. Does anybody have questions? Feel free to jump in, raise your hand, put yourself off of mute. You can direct them at Carlos or Malini or me or my colleague. If there are any questions. I see a hand raised.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
go
have a
ahead.
question. Just to confirm, so I just want to make sure I got this right. All the winter programs are non-credit, is that right?
Most generally, yes, because they are in nature shorter. However, if you do wish to receive credit for the time you go abroad in the winter, you would have to petition with the Baruch Study Abroad office, and I can send a link in the follow-up email I will send to everybody of how to do that.
Okay, and then my second question was, if they're non-credit, do the merit-based scholarships still apply to them?
Yes, you are still eligible to apply. Mhm,
Thank you.
mhm. Who was next?
Joshua asked which master's program were they in? What is this in regards to a question to Malini and Carlos?
Yes.
Oh,
So Joshua, your question is to all the students. Yes, Wolf was in the MPA program, I believe. Carlos, you're in the MIA.
No, MPA as well.
MPA as well. And Malini, you're in the EMPA. You graduated from
I
the
just graduated.
Mhm, yeah.
Sophia, you please ask a question.
Sophia has a question.
I'm wondering if anyone wishes they had done the semester long or been able to do the semester long program rather than the summer program.
We did not have an exchange semester in the past 2-3 years due to pandemic. So typically we have maybe one student per year who does the exchange semester. So the most popular program would be the program in Ghent that's most applicable to MPA students. There are other programs offered through the Study Abroad office at Baruch. This is part of the reason why we encourage students to attend the Study Abroad fair at Baruch, because you can learn about many options that they offer through their office for exchange semesters. And they also offer opportunity to talk to students who study it for exchange semester through Baruch Study Abroad office. So yes, typically our graduate students are more interested in short-term programs that's more applicable to them, but there are opportunities and there were students who took exchange semesters.
I would like to answer that just because from where I am, all right. So I graduated with my BA from Baruch. Bless you, Sophia. And I will tell you that then I would have wanted to do the semester abroad. Now at this point in my life, I don't know. I got a lot out of I'm just the type of person who likes an intensive, clearly because I did the executive MPA, which yeah, it was a lot, but something about being there for like 3 weeks or 4 or 6, I found it to be, it worked for me in my life right now. I hope that helped.
If I answer it shortly, I didn't see it as an option for me. I do work full time, and it was challenging to get like these time off. You know, I was in Europe for 5 weeks. You know, I had to like manage, and I took about 3 weeks of vacation within 5-week trip that included 4 weeks of school, and so there was a lot of overlap. So it was just like challenging enough to get, you know, my work to agree on sort of like a part-time work arrangement that included at least, 3 weeks off within like a month. So it wasn't even an option for me. It also sort of like where you are in life, right? So like I'm soon going to be 40, and I did a whole year abroad when I was an undergrad student. Would I do it again as an undergrad? Absolutely. Would I do it again? Can I do it now? It's more challenging. I don't know if my work would approve it, but it's also sort of like, are you willing to let go of so many other things that you're doing in New York? Your family, your friends, so I guess it's rather personal, right? It depends on where everyone is in their life, in their career. Undergrad is easier, it seems.
Awesome, thank you. So we have Fatuma and Anna. Fatuma, do you want to go?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for sharing your experience. I was just wondering, because listening to those who shared experience, it's more like MPA students. I was just wondering what are the options for someone who's doing the HEA program?
Yes, we did have a student do the an HEA student. She specifically went to the University of Humboldt in Berlin, Germany, and she found this on her own. And we're actually offering courses this winter from the University of Humboldt that should be relevant to HEA students. But I could reach out to her specifically if she would like to speak to prospective students. If I could put you in touch with her.
Sure. And just a follow up to your answer. So yeah. If for the option in winter, will that be credit bearing on, like, would that be towards the credits? Because I'm in the HEA program and this is like my third semester. So I was wondering if that will be, if I can use, because I'm planning on taking a winter class regardless. So I was wondering if that could be used as my winter class that I was planning on taking.
How about, because for the sake of time, why don't you email us, or I can reach out, email us for a one-on-one meeting, and we could go into further detail with you about the programs, because that's a very specific question.
Great.
Okay.
Also, I want to bring up the point that Andrea briefly mentioned, that the student in higher ed program, she found the program on her own, and she petitioned for it to be included as a program offered to Marxe students. And we encourage that. If you find a program that you think fits your educational goals, please, send it to us. We will have it reviewed by the faculty members, and if it does fit the program goals, then your educational program goal, then it might be as well offered, which exactly what happened with the Humboldt University programs. The student found it, she petitioned for it, and now we will be offering it in winter too, because it turned out to be a great program. So please do that. We encourage that. We welcome that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Anna?
Sure. Just a quick question, and I don't know if you, more than two questions. One is the acceptance rate. I know that I'm pretty sure for the most part, as long as you apply and meet the qualifications, you will meet. I'm just curious in terms of acceptance rates, in terms of for those that are applying, given the fact that we're just completing the pandemic here. And two, I don't know if you guys want to answer, especially for those that participated, just out of pocket. I know the application for scholarships were available, but I'm just curious, just a range. You don't have to give me the specific, just wanted to know what to plan for in terms of budgeting for the upcoming, semesters.
Mm-hmm. I'll answer this. So for the acceptance rate, typically for summer programs, the biggest question is the when you apply. Most of the programs are very popular and they get filled up quickly. So your acceptance a lot of times will depend on when you apply. So the sooner you do that, the better chances you have. Typically, if you don't get in, they will either put you on the wait list or they will offer you to take a different program. So this is especially the case with the Sciences Po University, that it's very popular and it's it's hard to get in because there are so many applications. So they do have, requirements in terms of academic levels, and they will look into your academic program. They will ask for your transcript to see that it's a good fit for you. So if, but we typically offer the programs that are a good fit for our students. So in that sense, we know you're applying for something that fits your academic goals. So in terms of the Mark, and then Malini and Carlos can talk more about their application experience, whether they faced any difficulty or communication with the university for the applications. So for the Marxe Study Away Award, the range this summer was between $1,000 to $3,000, and so we do ask to submit your estimated budget, and we look into the program cost. We take that into account when we determine the award amount. So, but in general, it's between $1,000 and $3,000. The more expensive your program fee is, the more probably you can expect to receive.
Yeah, I have no problem talking about how much I spent. So my program, they covered the tuition, and I got a stipend, which was like $500, which sort of covered my apartment, but I wanted an apartment, so it was a little bit more. So there's that, and then my airfare. Please note that you already probably know I'm very particular, so I just wanted to travel comfortably. So my flight, and keep in mind I went to Dublin, and I also went to Germany. It was like, I would say a little under $3,000. Okay, so I was there for over 3 weeks. That's airfare, that's to travel to Cologne. That is just eating, and I didn't eat out that much, and I love eating out, but that wasn't sustainable. But just to make sure there was groceries, it was about the euro, and the euro was stronger when I was there. And then just, you're gonna buy gifts for people, and you want to also enjoy yourself. However, I will say my fellow classmates they were quite open about it. They were on a strict budget, and they really they were very strict about where they were going to spend their money. Also included is we got a lunch stipend. So that was really helpful for all right, so you get like a meal that's about €5, and then use the other €5 for snacks and for water later or anything like that. So we learned how to maneuver it, but that's about how much I spent.
I guess I can share a document that we had to submit when, can I share my screen again? When we submitted the application, it's part of the requirement. So there's this budget sheet. And then, can you all see it now? I'm moving into 200, 600, whatever. So the tuition, it was €2,500, the course in Sciences Po, 4 weeks. It's one of the most expensive, but it's also 4 weeks, right? Now I'm lucky enough that I will be reimbursed from work for this, right? Or that I may be reimbursed is still not clear, as long as I get a good grade. Now the meals I put here, housing 1,200, it was €1,000 for the Fundaciones États-Unis. Then the year now it was closer to 1, so it was actually 1,100. Now I do have friends that spend twice as much because they did Airbnb. So there are colleagues that spend more than 2,500 for 1 month. Paris is expensive, but I was on the cheaper end, so I did stay in the student dorms. Meals, I put $800 here. It is probably just about right. Maybe I spent a little more, but in Sciences Po, Cité, you could have subsidized. If you're a student, you can eat for €380. So there were, there are ways that you can eat cheap in Paris. If you're doing it through the university system, there's also near Sciences Po, there's a university, meal center for students, and if you're a student, you get a subsidized meal. Otherwise, prices are similar to New York. Like if you go to a restaurant, it depends. You may spend like 20 something euros or 100 euros, depending on, you know, whether you like to have wine or not, or how fancy of your dinner you want it. $100 for accommodation. That was how much it was. The monthly pass of the subway in Paris is, I believe, 95 euros. So that's pretty much $100. And then these books and materials, I didn't spend any of that. So I didn't spend money on that. Communications, I use my own cell phone, so I didn't spend that. Laundry, I spent way less than this. Emergency money, well, you know, again, like if you want to do trips, like I did a trip to Brussels, that was not expensive, maybe within a couple $100 back and forth. Stayed with a friend there, so I spent nothing there. Yeah, that was it. So basically, it could give you an idea that I could easily have spent twice as much in accommodation, easily spent twice as much on food. I could have easily also spent half on food if I wanted to. If you don't eat out, then you can probably survive with half these budget. But I would say it's realistic that whatever you would spend in New York, given the lifestyle that you have in New York, you can expect to spend in Paris. So if you do not spend a lot in New York, you probably will be okay not spending too much in Paris. And you know, the colleagues that I was socializing with, Sciences Po is one of the elite schools, like former presidents and even the current president of France went there. So you know, it's like the rich of Europe that end up there. So there are people that like to eat at fancy places, and if you have lunch with them, you're going to spend more money. But there are also people that are on a budget. So there's a lot of fluctuation, really. But you know, I hope that this was helpful. Let me know if you have any other specific questions about Paris in particular. Let me stop sharing.
And to add, Anna, so for the award is given in two parts. So the first half students receive before they go abroad, and then the second half is received after they return and submit either the copy of the certificate or a copy of the transcript if they took the class for credit. So that's in terms of financial planning, and if you do receive an award, so that's what to expect. And that's and I think, Carlos, that's your situation, right? Like you took the class for credit, so you're still waiting for credit to be applied, right? Is that the case? Yes.
Yeah, I got my grade. I got a 50.
He got the grade, but like he's waiting. So Carlos is waiting for his award because we're waiting for the credit to be applied to the transcript. So there are certain rules and requirements students have to fulfill regarding the award, but we have to follow that. But in terms of, you know, the range, it's between $1,000 and $3,000. And this budget sheet that Carlos shared is part of the application. So when you receive the link to the application, you will also have access to this budget sheet that you will fill out. And it helps to plan. We have received feedback from students that it really makes them kind of think about, okay, what is it that I'm going to spend, how much? And I like to kind of put some budget in your head. Yes.
I'm going to add one thing. That student ID that you get from the college, from the university, is super helpful. That cuts down on the amount of money you pay to go into museums, shows, and whatnot. So, and they always have some kind, you know, every city has some kind of city pass. So take advantage of that. And if there's whatever their Metro card version is in that country, take advantage of that. But learn that system inside out, because that could also kind of get you. We don't need to talk about it. If you end up going to Amsterdam, you can reach out to me, Anna, and I'll tell you all about how to like deal with that bizarro Metro system. I shouldn't judge, but it was bizarre.
Do you have any more questions? If not, thank you everybody for, thank you especially Malini and Carlos for sharing your experience, and Wolf, who had to leave, and your questions, and I will be sending a follow-up email in the next few days. All right, thank you all for attending.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Be well, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye now.